What's up, bookworms? Welcome to episode 107 of the Cantina Book Club podcast, where readers can find interviews with authors of all genres. I'm Megan, self-proclaimed content queen, here to bring you insights from the authors themselves. Each week features a Cantina conversation with an author. Sometimes they're returning guests, and sometimes it's someone new. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button so that you never miss out on an episode, and feel free to browse through existing episodes so that you can catch a previous interview about a book you finished. Today's episode features a chat with Kalla Harris talking about her book, The Ground That Devours Us. That book is available now. Such a fun chat with Kalla. I loved bouncing ideas back and forth about our survival skills and our likelihood of surviving post-apocalyptic or dystopian environment. So it was really funny to kind of exchange ideas about that. Now, some spoilers might pop up in these conversations. Usually they don't. I try to be spoiler free, but they're more enjoyable if you've read the book anyway. So if you don't know why Kalla and I think that people need to reconnect with Spike from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, hit pause, add this episode to your playlist, go pick up a copy of The Ground That Devours Us. This interview will be here when you're ready. Just a heads up that I often use adult language to express my feelings towards these authors and their work, whether the characters need to get their shit together or I am saying what the fuck to the author for making me feel things. Just please be mindful around listening ears. Also, happy October for all who celebrate the spooky season. Halloween is my favorite holiday, and all the episodes coming out this month are centered around books that fit that spooky vibe. Books coming out this week, the week of October 7th. We've got Brandishing Balance by M.E. Thornwood. That actually came out on October 3rd. It's the third book in the Devil Psychos Motorcycle Club series. And if you're into dark romance and some of more of those kinky, taboo storylines, subject matters, all that, you're going to want to check out her writing. Today, on October 7th, Sister Creatures by Laura Venita Green came out. It's a pretty cool story, and when you're done with that, you can check out the interview with Laura that I posted just last week. Got Snow Kissed by Rayanne Thane. This one's cute, holiday vibes, fake dating, rom-coms, very much a closed-door romance, and I've got the interview with Rayanne coming up soon. The Betrayal by Heather Ogden, and In the Dark by Chelsea Curto. That's coming out on October 8th. And now a word from Crystal Hope, founder of the book podcast Connection.
Hello, listeners. My name is Crystal Hope. I am the host of Must Love Books podcast and the organizer of the book podcast Connection. The BPC is a networking group of over 100 book-related podcasts, from fantasy to romance to horror and every genre in between. There are even podcasts for authors and writers. Check us out on Instagram at Book Podcast Connection or at www.bookpodcastconnection.com and discover your next bookish obsession.
And there you go. I definitely recommend that you guys check out a Book Podcast Connection and all those cool bookish podcasts online. But without further ado, get ready, grab your favorite drink. Here is Kalla Harris. So today we've got Kalla Harris. We're talking about The Ground That Devours Us. That book is available now. Kalla, thank you so much for joining me today. Like I briefly mentioned, I love this book. It was so cute, and also just the world building and our main characters, and I don't know, something about young adult is just magical all in itself, and then just add hot vampires and love story and all dystopian vibes. Can't go wrong. I'm excited to dig a little bit deeper today.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you so much for having me on here. I'm very excited to chat about all things vampires and maybe the particular hot vampire that I plucked out of my own head.
Perfect. I know, when I see I was on your Instagram, I saw some of the on your website too. I saw some character art. I'm like, oh yay! It's always a nice touch to see in your head, and then seeing. There's something about character art that I think readers just flock to. It's a nice little treat.
Yeah, and he's blonde. Justice for blonde love interests. I feel like everyone's, no, we can't have a blonde love interest. Yes, we can. Okay.
Yeah, right.
I'm bringing it back.
I was going to say, wasn't Spike a whitey white and blonde in Buffy? It's
yeah,
channel your 90s Buffy Slayer vibes, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think some people just need to watch. Maybe they haven't watched. I don't know.
Probably.
If they haven't, they need to.
Exactly. You guys just don't know. Trust us.
Right.
So to get started, can you give, and then we'll try to, the book has been out for a little bit, but we'll try to be spoiler free anyway. Could you give a summary so that people can follow along?
Yeah, so The Ground That Devours Us is a young adult dark dystopian fantasy that follows Ruby Clemens, a vampire hunter in training. She lives in a human compound in Charlotte, North Carolina with her sister Ripley. And unfortunately, on the last training mission that they are on before they turn into, or kind of transition into full-fledged hunters, her sister is turned into a vampire by X, who is this bloodthirsty and monstrous vampire who is plaguing the city they live in. And when the compound's hunters are sent out to apprehend her sister, Ruby is forced to actually team up with X. So if he will keep Ripley safe long enough for Ruby to find the cure for vampirism, then she will help him break into the compound's restricted lab where his best friend is being held hostage. And so their reluctant alliance propels the plot forward from there.
Mm-hmm. It's so funny because when you say reluctant, because I think X was having too much fun with it. He was
X has too much fun with everything. What do you mean? He's just chaotic.
he loves the hot messiness of situations where he's just okay. I'm like,
Yeah.
same, bro.
Yeah, he's like, how can I actually make this situation messier? How can I actually make Ruby's life more hectic and
I
more
know.
chaotic?
I appreciate characters like that because it just makes the storyline, the whole book, more interesting. If we all love a chaotic queen or king, it was like I just love that. It's like throw more at them, make things more difficult. Like even if in real life I'd be like, oh my fucking god, is your problem? But now if I'm reading it like as a character, I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah, I think as a reader, you just constantly want more. Otherwise, you might get a little bit bored. But in real life, I would be like, sir, please, I've had enough. I need you to calm down.
Right? Haven't you had enough? Why aren't you sick of this shit? What?
Exactly. Fuck off.
No,
man.
I love the situation you put them in. It was a classic like banter, and she's looking at him like, ugh, he's probably a heartthrob back in his days. And oh, girl, you can see it. You can see it. See you're eyeing him, and you don't want to eye him. And I loved it.
Yeah, he knows he's hot. He definitely knows he's hot. But I think that he was throwing out the chaos and she just throws it right back at him, especially with their like witty banter. And so I think that surprised him. I think he was like, wait, most people just scream and run.
Right.
What are you doing?
Right. Exactly. She was just kind of, bro, this isn't my first rodeo. You're just like, you're annoying that I have to deal with you and you can talk. Just
Yeah, you're
I
a
loved
blip. You're a blip in my existence right now.
Right. So this was your debut. Congratulations. I want to explore your background, either personal or professional. Like, what led you to bringing The Ground That Devours Us into the world?
Yeah, so I've always had a love for reading. Just in general, my mom read to me when I was a kid. It was funny because she would be reading full-length novels to me because I was just so obsessed with books. And I would be like, please read more to me. No, it's bedtime. And so that love for reading kind of kickstarted my brain into thinking like, okay, but what if I could do this? And so I started writing in third grade, and it was just very much just for fun, for pleasure. And I stuck with that for years and years. And it wasn't until the pandemic hit and I was at home and my mental health was not the best. And so I wanted to jump into this character whose world had also just flipped upside down and who was also experiencing grief like I was, and to explore how someone who has become a hardened individual can transform throughout a story. And it's actually funny. I had this snapshot, and this particular scene didn't make it into the book, but some of the dialogue did. And I had this just original snapshot of this teenage girl who was running for her life across this abandoned like parking lot for a high school, and just the whole city was destroyed, and all of a sudden this monstrous creature crawls out of the ground, except for he's in the form of a human and he's kind of cute. But he's extremely angry at her because she has done something to betray him. And she hates him. There's very much like this tension between the two people. And they fight to the death. And so that was like the original first little kernel that I had for The Ground That Devours Us. And it's changed over time. But I had that during the pandemic, and so I started writing it, and I had all this free time, so I thought, why not? And from there, like, we just we went down several edits, and the book has changed since then. But I think at the heart of it, like, I love that I still have some of that dialogue from there. So
yeah, I think it takes what it takes, right? It emerges however it does, and what you'll create what happens will happen. For lack of better words, it's just because I think, how authors, even seasoned authors, experienced authors, go through the same thing where they know that they have this idea, and then through the process, like it gets better, and you expand on things, and you build on things, and because you have to go like through the tip of the iceberg, you have to dig underneath, under the surface. That's all the juicy stuff, all the meat and potatoes, whereas where the appetizer is kind of leading you to, so to speak. I'll rant and I'll get off on tangents about this, but it's just from a reader's perspective, as I'm sure you understand, and now that you're on the other side of it, that you are a published author, so the other perspective of the work that it takes, and the creativity, and all the steps along, where you may or may not have a lot of cooks in the kitchen who are putting their feelers and their suggestions and their edits into your story. But it's really like you have to trust that process. You have to trust what it takes. In general, I think it's just, I get a little excited for it. There's a certain magic to it, and the fact that you put the YA perspective for this particular story. I'm thinking, like, if you went adult with it, you could have gone adult. You could have, I kind of want to explore that too. So did you originally see it as for that age group, or did the voice just come to you, or Ruby just like, no, this is our story kind of thing?
Yeah, Ruby's voice was immediate to me. She's very snarky. She's very sarcastic, can throw out like a one-liner with the best of them. But I think I knew that I wanted this to be young adult, but I knew also that the book was going to be pretty dark, just given the themes and the setting and the characters' backstories and kind of the plot in general as well. And so I really wanted to kind of balance that out with a lot of comedy. And it just felt right for it to be YA, because it was also very much coming of age, which I think is a very huge theme in young adult. And Ruby is very much coming into herself and finding herself, because she really hasn't been able to recognize herself in the mirror for a very long time. And so it's this exploration and this journey of her finding who she really is. And I think that as teens, I'm not a teen anymore, but I was. And I was very much trying to figure out who I was, and still am, honestly. But I think also all of those emotions are so heightened and so just very visceral. And I think that you can get that in the characters too. Everything is the impulsivity, the anger, the joy, just all of the like the rash decisions they make and all of that. I think that it very much felt like a young adult book to me. And I definitely could have went darker with it. And I think that if I would have, it would have been adult. Because I also do think that the book is still pretty dark. And my suggestion in general would be that older teenagers read it, teenagers who are a bit more mature, just because it has a lot of like gore and violence.
Yeah, and this is a world where people die and you'll see you get us a little attached or like a little familiar, and then you're like, oh, by the way, I'm gonna pull that right out from under you. It's just it is those like things, but also just the fact like because it is partially enemies to lovers romance, you could have gone like sexier with it too. You could have been like a little bit more adult language or adult feelings with the pining and with the tension, the will they, won't they. Because we've seen that become so much more popular with books, but I also it works. Yeah, it works well as is like young adult slash young to new adult, because new adult I think is college age, which is still this storyline and this premise. It was versatile enough where you could have played around with certain voices, but I like the direction you went with it just because of the coming of age aspect, where because we've all seen like dystopian or post-apocalyptic stories in YA, and it is adding that coming of age element that is like taking it to the next level. I think it's not just adults. I'm like, yeah, if I'm in my late 30s, if I saw some cute creepy ass human monster coming out, or if I was aware of it and I'm like, okay, I'm almost at my certification, my licensure here of being like making it to the group, the elite of approved slayers or hunters, if you will, I would definitely there's a part that like I think would just be like over it, like jaded almost, and be like, okay, whatever. I would lose my value for like human life. These vampires they're still very much themselves. And you could see that. And it's very obvious they're still much themselves. But then aside from the other group that are not, the group, what was it, like Bloodwalkers or something like that? Yeah. There's a group where it's just, no, sorry, bye. But the coming of age part of it, it's like they still have that part of them that's not jaded yet. And I think that there's definitely like that interest, that complexity to it, that you could be like, oh God, they're children, they've had to grow up too fast. And especially because it's 10 years since this first started, right? So their story, their struggles started, they were very young when this started happening. And so it's 10 years later, they're almost on the brink of having the full skill set and being approved. And it's just, they've been forced to grow up. And it's like, you have to remind yourself, like, yeah, they're like barely 19, 18. And I'm just thinking, gosh, I always have a running joke where I'm like, if I was in any fantasy novel or whatever this setting, I would be a horrible character because I would die within a few days. Or I would be like, this is not my problem. This is not my problem. I'm going to go chill in a corner and read my book. Or I'd be like, I don't even know. I was like, I would hope that I would learn how to contribute to society in that new society. But I just joke around. I would be such a horrible book character because I'm just like, either I'm useless, don't have survival skills, or I'm like, this is not my problem. This is not
Yeah, I don't have any survival instincts whatsoever. I would like to think that if I was in a situation like this, I would try to survive, so my plan, I think, would be to just go into the woods, like a national forest, and not necessarily live off of the land, because I feel like I would be bringing a lot of stuff with me. We're not at a like naked and afraid situation here. I'm afraid, but I'm gonna have clothes on.
No, exactly.
And so I'd like to think that I would live in the woods if we were in a scenario where there was vampires and stuff, because maybe they're not like, this isn't Twilight, maybe they're not running around in the woods. But in reality, I think that I would probably just lay in bed and I would just watch a show until the Wi-Fi gave out.
Yeah.
And then I would probably wish that I still had a DVD player. I really want to get one again. I'm like back in that era. And then I would just have snacks and I would just wait.
Pretty much.
I don't know.
I think like it reminds me of Woody Harrelson talking about whatever zombie movie he was in. I forget what it was with like Jesse Eisenberg. I don't know why I'm blanking on the title, but he was Tallahassee and he was the badass zombie killer. And he was basically like, no, in real life, I'd be hiding in a closet somewhere. And I was just like, yeah, that's like exactly, you're like, that sentiment is real. Yeah, of course. My husband, he's an Eagle Scout, so I'm like, no, we're good. It's like he went into Boy Scouts for years, and he went all the way up to Eagle Scout, so he knows a lot of things. And like I've been camping before, but only since I've been with him. I've never gone camping since before I met him. And he's got his own system and stuff like that. I'm like, I will be fine if I never go camping again in my life. I go because we have 2 kids and I want them to have those experiences. And I know that it's fun for them and they're boys. I'm outnumbered. But I'm like, I'm the type of person who is so comfortable. I'm like, okay, if we all good. You don't need me. I have my book. I'm going to go chill by the river. Like, I'm just going to go, or I got my drink and I got my book. And if there are friends here, whatever, we're just going to make s'mores by the bonfire. I'm not out here being mountain woman or like Viking survivor or anything like that.
So you're not chopping down wood.
I would if I have to, but I'd still be there. My hands are so small. I'd be like, I can't grip. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I try to explain the things to my husband. I'm like, it's easy for you because you are like, you have upper body strength and larger hands. I'm like, this is a struggle. I'm okay. I'm in okay shape, but I'm like, I definitely could lift more. And so I'm not equipped for sudden apocalypse. So I'm like you, I would like chill and make sure like I would hide until the big wave happens, where it's wait until the chaos, the initial humanity realizing what's going on chaos. Like I'm not about to go like, peek my head out and ask if people are okay. I'm gonna be like, no, something's not right. I'm gonna chill and hide and be quiet. And exactly, go get non-perishable snacks. I'll eat cereal for the rest of my life. I don't care. Find a purifier for water. That's pretty much all I know, is just get like all the supplies of Brita. And then for entertainment, and then for the entertainment, it's funny that you say like DVD players, because like I know I have a whole case of DVDs and we don't even, we're so spoiled now, like subscriptions. We have the kids, Disney Plus, as much as I hate like the whole corporation of it, it's just we're a sucker for them. But it reminds me of, we don't have a DVD player, but we do have the Xbox, so that can still play DVDs, so that's games too.
That's true. That's true.
Exactly. Or get the Nerf guns out. We have Nerf guns in our house. We all have our own Nerf guns, so we could target practice for maybe not so much. But so it's just funny how would that happen? You can't help it, like when you're immersed in a story like this, or I imagine you're building a story like this and you're just like writing this badass woman, this FMC who's, man, fuck this, fuck you, wait, where's my sister?
Yeah.
And then you're just like, it's like you're like living vicariously through her. Like,
yeah, that's who I would like to be. I would like to be a badass, but I don't think that I am.
I think it depends on the situation. I could sense it, Kayla. You would turn into one in your own way.
I will take somebody down if I need to.
Survival instinct kick in.
Yeah. But in a mass scenario where the world is just, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I would hunker down for sure. But then after the big waves have hit, especially with entertainment and stuff like that, I think I would hit up a Lego store. We would get puzzles, those things. I would probably get into painting. Yeah. I'm a huge baker.
Yeah, there you go.
So
that would come in handy. People need bread.
Yeah.
Maybe people need carbs.
Yeah.
in that sort of world. You could just, it's like, it's all me thinking like, okay, how am I going to add value if I need a community? If I can't do shit, then like they won't have any motivation. No, I'm valuable. Like I will make bread and I will read to your children and I will.
Yeah, I can bake the bread, the baked goods. I'm going to need someone to go out and get some
Yes,
of those supplies
yes.
for me. But if you get those, then I will make you something.
Exactly. I know. And it's so crazy how, as you explore, The Walking Dead or other like post-apocalyptic dystopian worlds where like society collapses and like we're seeing how people are dealing with it. And these true, what do we see like the pits of humanity like
Hmm.
resort to, and how do we really come out, what true selves do we really show? And it's so funny how like people do some nasty things and some horrible things to survive or to ensure survival of their children or their families. But at the same time, it's shit, like you probably have better odds of survival in a community. But then at the other end of it, it's I want to make sure that they want me. I want to make sure that that I'm proving myself like valuable. I know I'm like thinking like, what can I do? I can talk to people, and I feel like, or I might like find a way to do some cardio so that I can keep running. Like I could
Yeah.
be in decent enough shape to keep my energy going, to have endurance, so that I have the better chance of not getting too tired. Where I'm like, oh, my end of life is because I couldn't run anymore. I got too tired, or I couldn't like pull myself up of something, or I couldn't like, because I'm thinking of, I think it was Mythbusters, where they were like, oh, like how I like realistically, how could you survive with just a hand weapon like a hammer or something to defend yourself against a horde of zombies, of humans, like human bodies
Hmm.
coming at you even at the slowest pace ever. And I think he found out like he got tired after constantly swinging. And I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I think it's some of those things that like we don't really think about. It's like you have, even again with scarce resources, that you're gonna, and living off the land a little bit, you're gonna lose weight, or you're gonna get in shape, you're gonna tone muscle, but it's the endurance, right? It's like the constant, like how long are you gonna last to get away? And I thought that was one of the more fascinating concepts of it, where it's just like, if you don't have a gun, or if you're not even good at shooting, you don't even know
Hmm.
how to handle it. It's, or even like a crossbow. I have a bow and arrow, but even then it's, you gotta handle it. You gotta like the phrase.
Yeah,
It's
you
like you
have to have a
gotta
lot of strength for that. And then also,
exactly.
because society has unraveled, there's probably not surgeries going on, I would assume. And so if you need a surgery, I don't know,
Yeah.
if you, I don't know, break an arm and you need to have a surgery to have
Might
it
not have any
fixed,
pain
or
meds.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, or if you have a pre-existing condition and you don't have medicine for it. So it's like those things too. You already have those blocks in the road that you're having to crawl across or jump across or whatever.
Yeah,
And so
exactly.
then you're desperate, and desperate people do desperate things, and they make decisions also that like we wouldn't agree with. But I would be curious to see the average person who is put in a
Wow.
situation like that, what they would do. Because
Exactly.
I really do think, like, when it's boiled down, your survival instincts kick in, and you're thinking about yourself and you're thinking about the people that you love, and what are the lengths that you're willing to go to ensure their safety.
Absolutely. Because I'm like, I got two little boys, like they're 8 and
Yeah.
5, almost 5. So I'm like, I would just tell them to run and hide. I don't even know. And that's what also some part of it like terrifies me, because I'm like, I like they would get to an age where I'm like, okay, listen, you're gonna have to learn how to use this weapon, or you're gonna. It's just, it's like your whole like trajectory of your whole like game plan, your parenting method is totally gonna change. Where you're like, you're raising them to be good people, but not, no, you're raising them to be able to save themselves. What,
Yep.
and that's not
Yeah.
always being a good person. Like it's,
Yeah.
yeah,
And then their childhood, like the childhood is just completely different. And also that sense of innocence is taken, you know? How do you keep innocence in a scenario like that? Which I think was like what I wanted to explore with Ruby and Ripley,
yeah.
because their innocence was taken at such a young age.
I'm like going down my notes. I'm like, oh yeah, Ripley. But no, exactly. I was just like with their mindsets of when they were children, it was like they like how we were saying before, that they started very early and they went through it very early, which all them susceptible to being what is Bart. I have it as
Barnett.
Bart Barnett.
Honestly,
Yeah,
he's Bart in
yeah, they
my head.
became they became susceptible to being picked up by them. But the same thing, it comes down to survival. Like they trust him because they knew that this was maybe not super consciously about it, but they sensed their survival instincts kicked in and was like, oh, this person
Hmm.
is gonna something about him. He's gonna look out for us, or this is where we need to go to be safe or to have the tools that we need. And even though what at age 8 or 10, they didn't really they can't articulate that, but then that's what ended up what happened, where they can it was like that underlying primal instinct that was okay, provider or
Yes.
strong person that's not attacking us, he's reaching out his hand. And he's and they it's and one of the last things that their mom said to them was like basically look out for each other. And or it was more so she put more emphasis on Ruby
Mm.
looking out for Ripley. Yeah, and so Ruby was that's just that continuous, like the overarching thing that she holds. And that's what like drives her throughout this entire story, is like looking out for her. And when Ripley is, no, dude, like you, like trust me, you got it wrong, kind of thing, or it's not like that.
Yeah, and I think too, I think that Ruby, just even as a kid, and this is something that's just in my own head, not necessarily, I think you could like pick it out a little bit on the page, like the nuance of it. But Ruby was very much just a bit more hardened in general as a person. And it was at least perceived that Ripley was like the sunflower. She was
Yeah.
sweet and needed to be protected. But I don't necessarily think that she does. I think she has her own strengths. And so like just exploring that too, because Ruby has just her entire life it's been how do I take care of myself and how do I take care of my sister? And that like sense of failure also when something does happen to her sister, when she is turned into a vampire, something that she has been taught to hate. And so that downward kind of spiral that she has, where it's just like this tunnel vision of I need to save my sister. I need to save my sister. My sister is not my sister right now, but I can bring her back. I can do that. And just the links that she's willing to go to do that, I think was so interesting. But if this was in Ripley's point of view, maybe it would have been a lot different.
I was gonna say, how fun would that have been for you? Maybe that's like a little novella or POV chapters that you can between her and X. I would love to have seen their POVs in any, because yeah, getting Ripley getting like the inside scoop, and the scoop that nobody sees, or at least that we don't see, Ruby's point of view. And then X's almost similarly, Ruby doesn't get that point of view. Nobody on Ripley's side gets that point of view, but then seeing his, because he is like a complicated character and
Mm-hmm.
he's like multidimensional. And I love that, like we always want the multidimensional characters, and even if he is like a perceived villain or a perceived bad guy, I'm still like, if he was a woman, I'd be like rooting for him harder. I'd be like, I'm always a proponent of like female rage and female messiness and toxicity. Even if you're wrong, I'm like, no, man, fuck the world. Like, you do what you got to do, girl. Like, I am still so just like, even that's like also an interesting point of view that you could like play around with any time down the line. I'll give you free ideas if you ever like want to boost your story up a little bit. You can like
Yeah.
little chapters here and there from their points of view, because I think that would be so cool and fascinating to like, because it takes a while for Ruby to get there. It takes a while for
Yeah.
her to get there. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And that was specifically, I think that was something that I wanted to do because she has spent 10 years being essentially just manipulated and
Hmm.
twisted. And that is not something that just snaps back. Like, you can't just forget that. And you can't just, I think, say, okay, I'm going to change from that and do that.
Yeah. I'm just curious. Did you do like any research? No, maybe not research in traditional sense, but maybe like considering how the whole vampire story has been done in the past. Because like it's at a level where like most readers, we know vampires, we understand that magic system or paranormal system and that kind of relationship for humans. And so I just didn't know if there was like any other research that you did, because like you wrote it in your setting that you currently live in, and you're part of the world. So I'm just curious as to any research that you did, to maybe things that you had to clarify on, or maybe you needed ideas for any parts or whatever, or even something like anything fascinating that you learned, stuff like that.
Yeah, so I live about an hour and 15 or so from Charlotte. So it's definitely something that I can go explore the city. And one of the things is particularly like downtown Charlotte is where a lot of the book takes place. And so I did a lot of research on streets specifically and what are on like specific streets, like what kind of businesses and stuff like that. And then I also wanted to change them up a bit because we are in a post-apocalyptic setting. So it's like transforming whatever, I don't know, if it was a florist, now what is it? This is where we do like a medic situation. And so it was a lot of that, but then also, not to be spoilery at all, but there is a subway system in this book, which it does not exist in real life. And so I wanted to make sure that the book was set in the future, in the event that something like that could take place and a subway system could be built within that city, because we are seeing like a lot influx of residents just in general in the Carolinas. And so that felt very realistic to me, but that was also something that I wanted to consider. And it's funny, I had to look up a lot about like subway systems and like what it looks like in the back rooms, so to speak, areas that the normal person does not see.
Yeah.
And then I did a lot of research on specifically situations that people would be put into involving like dire, life-threatening things. I'm honestly shocked the FBI did not show up on my doorstep. Because
like your Google search history is a little questionable.
A little. It was a lot. And so I would be looking up very specific situations. I went down a lot of rabbit holes. We were on Reddit at 2 a.m. at one point. We were talking to, I talked to a doctor. So those kinds of things as well.
How do you approach that? So I'm writing a book. I have some questions. Like,
I actually knew this person.
Okay.
They were like in my circle. So luckily I didn't have to just be like, hello, hi.
You're like, so the real reason I'm here.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Yeah, and suddenly I get a letter in the mail saying I'm no longer a patient.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, so it was a lot of research for that. And then I just did a lot of reading dystopian, post-apocalyptic books. I also just a lot of vampire, like books with a lot of vampire lore and things like that. And then as far as like the specific, I would say, twists that I did on vampires was more so not as much research as it was just throwing spaghetti at the wall. And it was more of like a brainstorming session because I wanted to take like a different spin on vampires, and I thought it would be cool for them not to have fangs. And so that kind of involved, okay, then how do they turn a human and how does that work? And a lot of questions, and then having to just run through those and figure all of that out. It was a lot of puzzle pieces coming together. But yeah, a lot of research is taken in. And also it'll just be like the smallest little things too that you wouldn't even think that you would need to research. at one point, and this was like, it didn't make it into the book, so I don't feel it's fine. But like a tattoo got infected, and then I was like looking at very specific. It was like a very specific like medical term that I was looking at. It was like very small things like that. That I'm just like, I always have a Google tab up because at some point I know I'm gonna have to look something up.
Yeah. I know. I always joke about that with certain authors, especially depending on the genre. And it's so funny, even as like your audience is young adult, you still had some questionable searches. Because it's just, if it's like an adult romance, or if it's like the perfect is if it's a thriller, or like a crime detective investigative, where it's basically, there's this murder mystery and they have to get like the accuracies, and how did, almost like a clue, like how did this person die, with what weapon and with what motive. And so you got people searching, like authors searching, like how long would it really realistically take for someone to die under these circumstances. That looks horrible, really bad. Like,
yeah, I just read a thriller. It just came out by Holly Jackson. Not Quite Dead Yet, I think is the name. If I'm butchering that.
Yeah, it might
if I'm
sound
butchering
familiar.
that, oops. But I enjoyed it. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I think I read it in 2 sittings. But, and I won't go into any details, but I know Holly either had a doctor that she spoke to at great length that's in her inner circle, or she had to reach out to someone or something, because there was a whole lot going on, that it was like a very specific scenario. And I was just like, I know she had to research. I know she had to reach out to someone, unless she's like a doctor herself. I don't think so, but what do I know? But it was very specific. And I remember looking up and telling my husband, wow, like the amount of research that had to go into this specific thing that was like the mystery part of the thriller.
Yeah.
So, if anybody wants to,
what was the author name again?
Holly Jackson.
Holly Jackson.
It's Not Quite Dead Yet, I think, by Holly Jackson.
Okay, because then I want to promote. We're here to promote your book, but I can also in case somebody wants to check it out. Yeah.
And this is something, and thank you, I will promote my book at any time. But I think of other authors, like not as competition, but just as like colleagues. And so I'm always happy to just yap about.
And I imagine you guys there, and you're like, there's a camaraderie there. There's a level of understanding there that it's like deeper. Like it's unique, like only fellow writers, fellow published trad or indie understand about like your goals, your struggles, your process, picking each other's brains, or just like ruminating about, oh gosh, this and that and the other. And so I love that, because I do at least one interview a week. I do my best to keep it to one a week. Otherwise, like I could do, if I weren't so worried about making sure I finished the book before I talk to you guys, I would do these much more often. But I know that it's just such a better conversation if I've actually read the book. And so that's why I love noticing the commonalities and the sentiments that you all share, like across genres, across audiences, across experience levels. You as a debut author versus someone has 10 or 20 published works under their belt. A lot of it's the same emotions and struggles and challenges and lessons learned, even like things that I always ask as a debut author. I say, oh, what was your experience with your debut? I might ask an established author, how was your experience compared to your previous ones? I think there's just always something. I think that's like what I think is so cool about like just the writing industry, the publishing industry in general, especially just how much it's just boomed and changed in the past like 5 years. I want to say, I don't know. I don't want to say, it's like funny that you say COVID, because a lot of people I spoke to were like, this is my COVID baby. This was my COVID novel, where it's just, that's what, no, I'm not going to get in touch with myself. I'm going to learn how to bake bread. I'm going to learn how to, learn how to write a book, like stuff like that, where I think it's amazing, like how we all went through this collective experience in different parts of the world, in different like financial and social situations, and I love hearing how people handled it. And that was for authors that were like, yeah, this was, even some of them were like, I'm sure you get this a lot, this was my COVID book. This was
Yeah.
my like, especially one thing I think of is, this is a extremist example, but like with Brandon Sanderson, when he had the whole Kickstarter campaign,
Mm-hmm.
and he was like, oh, by the way, I'm working on 17 different projects in this span time. And I'm like, bro, do you breathe?
Do you sleep at all?
Because you're, and his wife is all in on it. His wife is, I think, a CEO of like their nonprofit foundation. Like she's in on it. And I'm like, they're such an amazing power couple. I'm going to Dragon's Tail Nexus this year. I'm so fucking excited. Like I am like, oh my God. Like I'm just gonna fangirl so hard, and I'm like trying to keep up. Like, okay, I'm gonna spend way too much money. What other authors are gonna be there?
Yeah, I love that. I love that so much. Yeah, I think all of us just traditionally publish, indie, everyone. Your journey might be different, but like at the end of the day, we all sit down and we write, and stories fall out of our heads, and it might not be, the story might not be fully fleshed out as we put it on the page that very first time, but I think as we go, we learn and grow, and with each book we learn and grow as well.
Yeah.
And so I think that no matter if you have one book out or you have 30, I still think that at the end of the day, we're just authors and we just enjoy doing what we
You're
do.
artists.
And yeah,
And you're
yeah.
doing that, it's a different type of yourself that you're putting out, and it's really, yeah, there's that I love it. I love it. I'm always gonna be like, I have a friend who is a self-published author, and she writes dark romance with like the real taboo
Mm-hmm.
kinks, and that's at this, of all the subgenres, like that's a subgenre of I love romance. I feel like we eat that shit up, right?
Oh,
Everybody, like,
yeah.
there's something about it. Even if it's not at the forefront, like there's a part of it that almost everyone, unless you're, I don't know, men are so weird about it. Like some men are like, it makes them uncomfortable. Whereas I love it. Like my husband, when I told him like he loves dragons, he loved the Inheritance cycle, like the Aragon series. And
Mm-hmm.
I, when I had him read Fourth Wing, I was like, no, you're gonna love this. It's dragons. But I said there is some spice, there's some on page, open door graphic sex scenes. And so when he finally sat down to watch it or to read it, he was like, so you said there's some spice in here? I was like, yeah. He's like, all right, let's do this. He just needed a little, like a little warning. And then he wasn't even phased. Whereas like my cousin, he was like, ugh, I feel like there's just every other page they're like, okay, I want to fuck you. Like, there's so much more to it than that. You're getting
Yeah.
like, you're, but I was like, but it's so funny. That's just the reader experience. And it's like men versus women, and like your comfort level versus their comfort level, or what you eat up versus what other people eat up. But that's the romance part of it, where for my friend, she knows that I'm not into the dark romance. I understand it now, because I think hers was like the first like Why Choose that I read. I didn't even understand what that was. I was like, what? So wait, it's 70% sex, and they're like all okay. Like she's just, of course, all women are amazing and badass, but like this one woman, and they're all like strong male characters, and they're all just okay with sharing. They all want her, and they're all okay with sharing with each other. And then there's just lots of fun times. And so I was like, oh, this is a thing. And then little do I know, it's a whole subgenre. It's a whole thing.
Yes. Yeah, it
And
is.
then before I knew it, I was like mainstream, like more not mainstream, but like Emily Rath and hers,
Mm-hmm.
and then the Never List that came out not long ago with Jade Presley. I was like, now that I know what to expect, I'm like, all right, let's see how they do this. So I like me, I'm just adding it to my little awareness repertoire of, okay, this like romance, I'm gonna eat it up. But now, oh, you've got 4 love stories to tell. Okay, let's see how that goes. But the dark romance, like the taboo, the kinky stuff, it took me a while to, it's just not something I seek out. It's not something I like, where it's like the trigger warnings. I'm trigger warnings, I
Yeah.
don't seek them out. Well, some women, some readers are like, no, it's a menu, it's like a shopping list. I'm like, you do you, boo. I'm like, so with her, I'm like, I'm always going to support her. I beta read for her, I proofread and edit for her. I try to like help her bounce ideas off of, because she doesn't want to show her face, because she has a pen name and she has like kids in school.
Understandable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so she doesn't want to deal with
Yeah.
parents recognizing her or anything like that. So I'm like, we're trying to bounce ideas off. It's okay. How can you promote yourself without showing your face and stuff like that? So I'm like an advocate for her. I'll purchase her books, even though if I saw it on the bookshelf, I would not necessarily go for it. But I'm like, I'm here for you. I want to see you succeed for the audience that finds you, for your people, for your community. Because we were just at Smut Lovers in Orlando this past weekend. And even if I'm not into that lifestyle, I learned a lot. And it was like, I enjoyed it to the extent that my personality could, versus someone who is, oh no, they want to learn more so that they can write authentically and responsibly and safely. Whereas me, I'm just like, are there any business workshops that are going on? I'm like,
Yeah.
are there any branding or things that I can do to look at it from, it's just things that might help me approach whatever, just be more aware of things. But yeah, so I'm gonna throw this at you. What were the most challenging parts to write? What were the most enjoyable parts to write?
I would say the most challenging parts to write were probably the fighting scenes. It's because I am just like, I have to really edit those. And sometimes I have to get up and actually pretend like I'm fighting, like in my living room. I know my neighbors, if they saw me, they would be like, what is this girl doing? But it's like, I have to physically move my arms and see like what the body is doing, and I'm not like doing any tuck and rolls or anything. I'm not that capable. But the fighting scenes were definitely really hard for me because I was like, okay, I need the technicality of it, I think, was just really difficult. And also trying to ensure that it's not repetitive, that every fight doesn't seem like it's the same fight happening. So I think that was the most challenging part to write, I think. And then as far as like in editing, I really wanted my editor was like, hey baby, like maybe we should work on this. And so it was really fleshing out more of the relationship with Ruby and the antagonist of the story. And so fleshing out their relationship, I think. And it wasn't necessarily hard, but it was just like extra, like having to sit down and do that extra work. And then the easiest and probably the funnest parts were it was truly the banter. I really love like the back and forth dialogue, just like the fun one-liners, and of course like the romance. This book, I think, it's at least what I'm hearing from people is that it's a slow burn. It's definitely a slow burn, and which I am happy about because that was what I was aiming to do. And so I really loved doing that. And there's a particular scene.
You're like, how much more can I torture my readers?
Yeah. There's a particular scene that I won't spoil, but I'll just say something happens in the book and Ruby feels betrayed. X feels betrayed. Everybody's just feeling a little betrayed. And there's just scene where it's like she's so angry, but at the same time, like she can't like hurt him, if that makes sense. Like and it's because of all of these complex like emotions that are going on, and it's like this back and forth where he's just do it and just I can't and things like that, and we pull in from Delana from the Vampire Diaries right there, but that scene was the push and pull, will they won't they kind of thing, was very fun to write, and definitely the banter, and definitely I think some of the twists, because I think just the will they won't they and the witty banter and just like the plot twists, I think were probably
that's what
my
it
favorite.
was. Yeah, because it's like it's so funny because there were some scenes where it was like You can tell, obviously you tell how their feelings and their relationship with each other progressed, but it gets to a point where it's X is saying Ruby no, and Ruby's fuck you, I'm here for you kind of thing. Where he cares about her so much and he's no, and this plus with the relationships with as the story progresses with her position, she's going undercover and when doesn't want people to find wind of what she's doing because for her loyalty is to her sister no matter how long she's been like a confidant or under a mentee to Barnett slash Bart. Like it's just that adds to the level and the conflict and the depth and it just it adds to the twists, it adds to the level of trust slash risk of trust, and it's also it's a position storyline that people can relate to where we're like, oh, like not everything is as it seems, and the person who she thought that she trusted with for years, for her formative years, and then she's learning, wait, he's keeping things from us and he's not, there's something going on that we didn't know and stuff like that. Or we were led to believe something differently. And yeah, exactly. It was just like, I imagine, but it's funny how you say the difficult parts were like the action scenes, because I feel that's definitely another common sentiment among authors where they wish
Yeah.
they could just like have a camera on a fight scene and just pan it and pause it to be like, oh,
Yes.
move, duck, dodge, like swing, punch, and where's this hand and what did they do? Because it's, I imagine anybody who's not in like a special fighting class or anything like that would be totally new at writing those scenes. Oh, do you know the arts of this level of fighting? Do you know the arts of this method of fighting? And it's no. And then you're trying to be like, okay, they got this weapon. And you just want to, it's like going to pan over. Yeah. I love that. That's funny.
Yeah, there were a lot of weapons and stuff involved, and I'm like, I don't know. I'm out of my depth here, but here I am. We're rolling with it.
You did well. No worries. No worries. I imagine because it's a balance, right? You want it to be realistic, but you also don't want it to be like, okay, we dragging out the fight scene? Are there too many words? Are there too many words? Are there too many details? It's like, no, we know they're fighting and we know that someone's thinking ahead of someone. It's like someone's more skilled than someone. Yeah, it's just, I don't envy you guys on having to come up with that and to make it hit that sweet spot of entertaining and realistic and not overloading the reader with information, for sure.
Yeah, because I think, at least in my head, I am thinking about if you watch a movie and you're seeing this epic fight scene, you're getting all of those visuals and you're getting the sound and you're seeing, like, I don't know, maybe someone's pummeling someone into the dirt and you're seeing the dirt flying up and all of these things. But on the page, it's difficult to include and incorporate all of that without this fight scene suddenly being 20 pages long.
Yeah.
And so it's just like trying to find that good balance and of dialogue and action. And then I also think that setting can play such a big role. And like wherever you are in that scene, wherever the characters are, and how you can use that to your advantage to make a scene, specifically an action scene, more interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially if you're like, I can imagine you're a romance writer and you want to add some dimensions to it, or if you're like suspense or psychological suspense, there's not always like a fight scene. It could be like cat and mouse where there's not a confrontation, like a physical confrontation. There's just like a verbal but if you want to step outside of that, I can imagine how tricky that could be. And you're like, oh shit. You're like, you're committed, you got to figure it out for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of the physicality of it. It was just so hard to get down, but I think I learned a lot from it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, just a few more questions before we wrap up. I giggle because I'm going to throw another one at you. What advice do you have for Ruby, Ginger, X, and Ripley?
Oh my goodness. For Ruby, I would say I think I would say letting your walls down does not make you weak, and to lean into the vulnerable sides of yourself more. Because when you put your walls up and you don't allow anyone in, you're suddenly alone. And specifically in the world that you are living in, you can feel very lonely. And if there are people that care about you, let them. And I think for X, I would tell him that it's okay to think about the future and know that you can have a good future despite some of the terrible things that you have done in the past, and that you are more than what people see, and it's okay to also show people the different sides of yourself, and it's also okay to forgive yourself.
No.
For Ripley, I would say, girl, be authentically you. Keep doing your thing, girl. She's I love her to death, so I would genuinely say you are sunshine, and keep just being that ball of light, because if you don't, like, in this world, like, light is so easily snuffed out. And just be you and don't apologize for it. And then for Ginger, I would tell her she needs therapy. Honestly, they all do.
So maybe make that a priority.
Maybe find a therapist.
Yeah, somewhere the post-apocalyptic.
Yeah. I would tell her that life is extremely difficult and the decisions that you make have ripple effects. So to keep that in mind. And yeah, I think I don't want to, it's so difficult because I don't want to spoil a whole lot.
Yes.
But I think, the general consensus for everyone, for every character in that book, is to find a therapist. Yeah. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Communicate.
Yes.
Please.
Yes.
Communicate.
It's okay to talk about your feelings with the people that you care about.
Yeah, it's okay to care about them. It doesn't make you weak. It makes you strong, actually.
Yeah, it adds more to you in who you are and what you're capable of. But it does. I could totally see that's the kind of the complicated part, is like it could be seen as a weakness because people are like, oh, they're going to use you against me. But that just like shows it can add, okay, it's like your move. What are you going to do about this? How far are you going to go to save? Because it's like this, your shred of humanity, and it's so important to like keep those parts of you in such a messed up world and setting where it's like there's so many people who have thrown it out the window. You gotta, keeping it is strength, throwing it away is you're trying to get rid of something that, it's one less thing I have to worry about, or it's a pretty big thing. It's pretty significant. And no, I know. Yeah, I totally appreciate that. Are you planning to continue on with this world, this story, or are you working on anything else that you're allowed to talk about?
So I will never say never on working on this world in the future. I am working on a different book that I can't talk about too much, but I can say that it is a young adult novel, and it is very much Kayla coded. So you have a complicated, like very complicated, layered characters who are angsty. The setting is quite different, but I feel like it's still very much me because the setting almost feels like it's its own character. And you have a friends to enemies to lovers romance. We have a very complex family. So again, like bringing in like the family aspect, and it is, I can't even give away the genre, but I will say that it has a supernatural aspect to it, but it is set in modern day, and it is there. The world has not ended. We'll just say, but yeah.
What do they call it? Like an urban fantasy almost, or magical realism, or something like that.
Yeah. So yeah, urban fantasy, but we're more like contemporary, I would say, and the genre is a little. I wouldn't quite call it fantasy.
Yeah.
And
not quite there.
Yeah, it's not fantasy, but we do have some spooks in there.
Ooh.
If that is helpful. But as
So
far
you have a thing for Halloween spooky season topics.
right, yeah. Yeah, I'm very much, it's funny. I always laugh about this because people who know me will point it out. I typically am like a bubbly like character, like a person, just like my personality. And my favorite, probably like my favorite fashion style is like the granny sweaters and like 70s prints. And I love bubblegum pink. And it's so interesting because what I write is typically has a darker tone to it. Yeah. I don't know why. It just scratches an itch in my brain. And so this one is definitely a dark book. I don't think that it will be as dark. Of course, I can't. Whatever I say, it might go out the window when it's published. But I don't think that it will be as dark as The Ground That Devours Us in terms of violence. Although there'd be some gore. That's all I can throw out there. But yeah, as far as like returning to The Ground That Devours Us, it's not like I haven't completely written it off or anything like that, but I am focused on this book. And I would, if I was to return, I do have an idea for a sequel. I do have an idea for a spinoff featuring a different character, but they both would like take place after obviously the sequel would, but the spinoff would as well take place after the events of The Ground That Devours Us. Yeah.
I'm a huge advocate for don't rush things, do things when they're right. Even if on your timeline you're like, no, I need to work on this next. If you got something that won't leave you alone, a character that won't leave you alone, or it feels right, just do what feels right. And it sounds like you're like in it in this next project. So I'm excited I'm going to keep an eye out.
Yeah, I am currently on deadline for it.
Okay.
So we are, yeah.
That's why I'm like, I don't want to get you in trouble by making you say things you don't want to say. So that's why I'm like, what are you working on? You don't have to talk about it if you don't want to. But I always like giving people, like, I want to know. And then I think it's helpful for other readers to be like, oh yeah, like what do we need to keep an eye out for?
Yeah.
Like that.
And then I'm also on the side, and this is a side project. My agent hasn't even seen it yet. It is an adult paranormal rom-com. So we'll see. I have hopes for it. It is fucking crazy. It's a little batshit. It's like,
I
why?
love it. That just be the blurb. Like it's a little
That's
batshit.
just
Little
batshit.
batshit.
Yeah, yeah. It is. It is set in New Orleans. I will say that it's set in New Orleans, and I am planning. Actually, will be heading down that way in a month. So I'm excited
Nice.
to.
Kind of like physical walk around.
Oh
Or-
yeah, for
yeah,
sure,
yeah.
for sure, yeah, and get an idea of. I have some of it is already written, so just like looking deeper and exploring those locations, the locals are probably going to be like, "What is this girl doing? Why is she staring so intently at a wall? Why is she taking pictures of a wall?" Because I need to know.
Have you ever been before or no?
I have not. I have not. So
Okay.
this will be my first time. I'm very excited. I have heard the culture is just beautiful there, and everyone is so welcoming and friendly.
Fun.
And I,
There's fun, and it is like you know what to expect, but once you're there, it is one of those places where I felt it was welcoming. I'll say that. It was
yeah,
welcoming, but if you want the beignets, just you gotta be prepared to wait in line. It's like all the classic touristy spots, unless you find a spot that has the same recipe, good old homey, doughy feel, sweet feel that isn't like Cafe du Monde. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
like
yeah,
yeah, that's always the tricky part of like when you want to visit somewhere, you're like, okay, where are the staples? Where's the hot spots? But it's of course the hot spots are like you got to wait in line for however knows how long. I went there once for one weekend. I was a maid of honor and we went there for her bachelorette party. And I was like, okay, who do you want to invite? And then where would you want to go? And it's okay if you want to go out of town because we're in the Chicago area. And so I'm like, she's like, I don't know would New Orleans be too much? And I'm like, I'll see. And so I just asked everyone, let's for Jessica's bachelorette, she's thinking New Orleans. Would you be willing and available to go? And almost everyone I asked, they were like, fuck yeah.
yeah,
And it was like only 9 or 10 of us, so it was so doable. But it was like she was nervous. We're worried about asking too much of people, but everybody was like, "Fuck yeah, that sounds amazing!" And we found a flight for all of us that was like fly in Saturday morning and then fly out Sunday evening, which was perfect for what we wanted to do. I would say, yeah, allow yourself. I would say casually, leisurely, so you don't feel like you're rushing everything. At least 3 or 4 days, long weekend. But and
yeah,
then
yeah.
I've never been there for the Mardi Gras experience. We went, it was like October, I want to say. So the weather was still nice, but unfortunately, I was like one of the first ones to have to crash out for the night. I was like, I'm the first one out. Everybody else
Oh,
was fine. But yeah, I was like, no, I reached the point of, because I was like planning like the adult entertainment and it was like raunchier than what we expected. It's so maid of honor. I was like, we're all like trying to figure it out, but it was really walkable and fun and cool. So if you're a part of that where you're like cool with hanging out and like walking the streets with a drink and just maybe people watching, that's so much fun. But it's also, we went out for brunch the next day and that was also so much fun. And it was just funny because the people who lasted the longest, their hangover hit them like at the worst time. It was so funny. It was funny, but it's not funny at the same time. So it was like,
I can imagine. I can.
because we were on that like a steamboat brunch. And so it was like these loud like horns going, and then they're just sitting there, oh my God, make it stop. So it was a fun time, but I can't imagine like you just going at your own pace. And mind you, this was like 10 years ago. So it was like if you go at your own pace and you're just going there for leisure, but also I would say definitely go and check out the nightlife. Just don't wear flip-flops and
Oh,
you
yeah.
just be careful.
I
Yeah.
I'm an avid
Careful of, yeah.
I'm an avid researcher, so yeah, we will
Yes.
be wearing tennis shoes for sure.
Yes.
And
And then
we
just,
are
when you're traveling, keep your items like,
yeah.
because yeah, you just gotta watch. But even then, when I'm in my hometown, it's like,
Yeah,
or like
I
whenever I go visit
same.
the city, in Chicago, like downtown, I always keep my wits about me. It's like you gotta be careful. You gotta be
Yeah.
careful. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
we'll be there I think for 4 or 5 days, but we'll be
Yeah.
there over Halloween. So
I
I'm very excited.
That's
Yeah.
gonna be so much fun.
Yeah.
Like this year, like in a month.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want Instagram stories. I want a report. I
Yeah.
want to know. That's
Yeah,
gonna
we are huge like spooky fans, my husband and I. And so we will be doing like all of the spooky things everything Halloween related.
Oh yeah, because they're known for some of that stuff too,
Oh yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like
We
ghost
will be up in it.
tours. Yes.
We
Oh,
will
that's
be
so
there.
fun.
We
So fun.
we will for sure be there. So
Yes. Oh, that's gonna be so much fun. That's gonna be so. I can't wait for you.
I
I was like,
can't
I
wait
can't
for
wait.
me either.
Oh, that's amazing. I love it. I love it. It's like the perks of researching.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so Kayla Harris, where can we find you online and on social media?
So I am most active on Instagram at Kayla Kalla N Harris Harris. And then my website is kaylaharris.com. You can also find me on TikTok where I mostly just watch videos of cats, but occasionally I will post a video at Kayla Harris Writes.
I love that. I do a lot of that too, where I might like lurk, but I'm like, I also try to like post stuff so like I can reach people who might not catch it on everything else that I post or whatever. So that's all. I'm just like, wherever you think your audience will find you, we'll make it happen. We'll try. Okay, so Kalla Harris, The Ground That Devours Us. That book is available now. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed digging deep with you. I recommend it to people who like YA, who like dystopian, who like hot vampires and a swoony, not forbidden, but enemies to lovers and slow burn and PG-13 love story. I wouldn't even say it's PG-13. It's like straight up with the clothes, right? Anything that happens, it's like very like it's YA appropriate. I will say that for
Yes,
sure.
yeah,
Yes.
there's
Perfect.
no spice. No
Yeah,
spice.
exactly. But yes, and I'll keep an eye out for you, everything else you got going on. And if and when you're ready, I'd love to chat again.
Absolutely. Yeah, and thank you so much for having me. It's been so fun.
And there you go. That was Kayla Harris talking about The Ground That Devours Us. That book is available now. Check out the show notes to see links where you can find Kayla online on social media and where to purchase the book. In the show notes, you will also see where to find Cantina Book Club on your favorite social media book communities, such as Bookstagram, BookTok, BookTube, Threads, Facebook, and more. And I would love and appreciate if you could hit that follow or subscribe button so that you never miss out on an episode or book reviews, author interviews. If you have any book loving friends who are looking to get more out of their reading lists, please share Cantina Book Club with them so that they can find upcoming releases and interviews with authors. Another way to help this podcast is to head over on your favorite podcast player and give Cantina Book Club a rating and review. It helps me reach more potential listeners and fellow book lovers like you. And that goes for any podcast that you listen to. It's one of the easiest things you could do to help out. If you need any book recommendations, you could reach out to me. I'm always excited to share my recent favorites, or you can head on over to cantinabookclub.com to read more in-depth book reviews of all types and genres. While you're at it, you could subscribe by entering your email on the website so that you could get new reviews and episode posts delivered directly to your inbox. If you want to support Cantina Book Club even more, you could donate by finding the form on cantinabookclub.com. Whether it's a one-time donation or as little as $1 a month, I seriously appreciate all the support and will share my appreciation with you by giving a shout out on the show. And finally, one of the best ways to help authors promote their works is to head over to Amazon, Goodreads, and give a title you've read a rating and review. It's free. It helps out almost as much as actually purchasing the book and tagging on social media. Thanks so much for listening and see you next time. Cheers.